Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Hope you guys have had yourself a great day. And we are here with the AFTV News today. And joining me today, I have a very special guest. We've got Lee Gunner. How you doing, Lee?
I'm back again.
Back again.
Specialist subject, Robbie.
And of course, right, I mean, normally like we discuss like loads of different subjects and transfer stuff and things like that, but it's only one story really that is doing the rounds for every Arsenal fan and in the world of football today, and that's the story about Mesut Ozil. Little background to it, of course, is in case you haven't heard, I don't know where you've been. You ain't been out, hopefully, but the background to it, of course, is that yesterday we got the news, and I was doing a show with Mo. We got the news that the Arsenal players have agreed to take a pay cut. Actually, the first sort of Premier League team that's agreed to take a pay cut. All of them have agreed to like take a 12.5% cut of their wages. This is for a year. Now, there's some sort of incentives attached to it. What Arsenal are saying to them is that if you make the Champions League, you get all your money back. No problem. We'll give you all your money back because we would have got a load of money from getting into the Champions League, right? If we only make the Europa League, you can get 7.5%. That will reduce out of your wages if we make the Europa League. But if we don't make any of those, it's a pay cut. And that pay cut will be 12.5%. Now, yesterday, we'd heard that all the players had agreed it. Mikel Arteta, the manager, had agreed it. All the players had agreed it. And, Arsenal were getting a big pat on the back for this. A lot of people were bigging them up. I remember we was on the show last night with Mo. Mo was saying how proud he was of the players. It shows the class of Arsenal and stuff like that. With what they've done. Brilliant. Especially when we look at what was happening down the road at Tottenham, where they went and done the furlough, had to do a U-turn, same with Liverpool, all these other teams. However, we then hear today that there's 3 players out of that squad that refuse to take that pay cut. Remember, it's voluntary. They're under contract. They don't have to take a pay cut. They got a contract, and that contract says, pay me whatever, right? 3 players, it emerged, said no. One of those players, and who's caused all this ruckus, is Mesut Ozil, who, of course, is the highest earner at the football club on £350,000 a week. It's caused a bit of a backlash. Piers Morgan today on the Good Morning show that he does absolutely tore into Mesut Ozil. Piers Morgan, of course, a big Arsenal fan. He very angry, saying that basically he thinks, it's shameful what Mesut Ozil's done as the highest earner. He should have, donated, right? Then now, I did a show this morning, and obviously we've discussed it. A lot of support for Mesut Ozil. A lot of support for Mesut Ozil from fans saying that, you know what, hold on, this guy does a lot of things for charity. He does a lot of things for, why should he be obligated? What he's saying is, what Mesut Ozil is saying is, I'll give, but I want to see what's happening with that money. I want to see what the financial state of the club is first before I commit to that. We don't even know if the club's going to be in a state or not, so why are we taking a pay cut? I did a show earlier on the All Guns Blazing podcast. You've got to watch it. It's brilliant. Fantastic defense of Mesut Ozil on there as well by DT, who was like very angry that it was leaked out. That's the other thing. This seems a bit very mischievous that Arsenal or somebody, it's either a snitch in the dressing room or somebody at Arsenal deliberately leaked this out to make Mesut Ozil look bad, because he's the only name that's emerged so far. So, there's a lot of support for Mesut Ozil, but then there's also a lot of people who are pretty upset with what Mesut Ozil's done. Lee, where do you stand on it?
My specialist subject. Get me on Mastermind. I'll get every question right. Firstly, thanks for having me back on again. Secondly, I've obviously seen a lot of the fallout. I've seen a lot for both sides. You know, I've seen a lot of people for him and a lot of people against him. Yeah. The way I see this, right, is his agent. It's no surprise to me that he's not taking a pay cut. His agent came out 2-3 weeks ago saying he's advised every single one of his clients not to take a pay cut. They want to see the financial state of the football club. This is his own words from the agent's mouth. We want to see the financial state of Arsenal Football Club and other football clubs for his clients. They might still make the same profit as if football carried on as normal because the season might continue, right? Firstly,
that's a fair point, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So cool. Firstly, since when has he been an accountant? He's an agent. He's a football agent, not an accountant. Secondly, I've also seen that Mesut Ozil wants to have a look at the financial state of the football club because he feels that he might be able to give a little bit more.
That's right. There's reports, I think ESPN, a report on ESPN where they said actually he'd be willing to give more than 12.5% if he knows that that's going to be, you know, the club isn't going to be.
So in that case, then why hasn't he given more with the view of getting it back?
No, because you're only going to get it back if you qualify for the.
No. What I'm saying, the financial state of Arsenal Football Club, he wants to see in 6 to 12 months' time, which conveniently is when his contract expires in 12 months. When it is, isn't it? All right. Let's suppose that Arsenal Football Club in 12 months' time is not in a great financial state. Is he going to go, well, actually, I'll tell you what, because I promised you a year ago, what I'll do is I'll get my checkbook out. I'll write you a massive whopping great check because you're not financially stable right now. And I took all my money back 12 months ago. Yeah, he ain't going to do that. Right. The fact is, the amount of people that I have seen say, yeah, but he does loads of charity work. Well, so do millions of other footballers. Yeah, Didier Drogba's built hospitals in nearly every village in his country. Yeah, Sadio Mane, go and have a look at the stuff Sadio Mane's done. Yeah, that is.
Sadio Mane's not taking a pay cut though. This guy who does lots of stuff for charities, you know, he's being asked to take a pay cut.
Arsenal were the first team, Premier League team, to take a pay cut. Right. I'm sure that after Liverpool didn't furlough their staff in the end, which is something that apparently classy Arsenal don't want to do. But then on the flip side of that, you've got the highest paid player at the football club refusing to take a pay cut, which the misconception of where this money's going is laughable. Right? I've seen so many people say, oh, yeah, but he don't know where the money's going. What a load of rubbish. The money's going to stop furloughing our staff. It's going to the non-playing staff at Arsenal Football Club, hence why we've not furloughed them.
But you know what,
right? Then everyone would be having a meltdown, like we all sat laughing at Tottenham when they've done a U-turn, like when we sat laughing at Liverpool when they've done a U-turn. If Arsenal furloughed their staff right now, every single person that supports Arsenal will be having a go at Stan Kroenke, right? The fact that we're not furloughing our staff is because, firstly, Stan Kroenke has dipped into his pocket, which is something that's not really been reported massively in the media, but he is actually going to invest financial gain into the club and say, right, we're going to make sure your jobs are safe. We don't want to lose anybody, but nobody's really reporting that across the media. Secondly, we don't want to furlough our staff, right? Because we've seen the PR blunder from Spurs and Liverpool, right? So we don't want to do that. So the easiest way to not do that is say, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. The highest paid people at the football club, i.e. the top brass that have all took a 30% pay cut, and the top earners, i.e. the footballing staff that are employees of the football club, defer some of your payments. Yeah, so then we can keep the Jim, Bob and Jill who work in the club shop and the ticket office. We don't have to furlough them. Yeah, we don't have to furlough them. Now, listen, through no fault of his own, Ozil, he's not working right now. Yeah, I'd say maybe 75% of the planet are not working right now. Yeah, the other 25% are obviously key workers, let's say. Yeah, out of that 75%, I'd say a good majority of them are being furloughed right now. You don't legally have to pay the other 20%, right? So let's say 100 people have been furloughed. They're getting 80% of their income. My missus is getting 80%, yeah? She don't even know if her boss is topping up the other 20%. So she, when she gets paid next week, might have 20% pay cut without even knowing it yet, right? He's getting paid not to do anything. And he's getting paid £1.4 million a month, right? I've seen people today sitting there saying, yeah, but he pays 9 million tax, 10 million tax. Yeah, cool. He works in the UK. You're required to pay tax. The same as you are in Spain, where I live. You're required to pay tax. Just because he earns 350 grand a week, yeah, doesn't mean he's exempt from paying tax, right? Because he's on that much money, he's on the highest threshold of tax. Yeah, Bukayo Saka is also, by the way, on that highest threshold of tax, and he's only on 3 grand a week, right? So he's taken 156 grand a year. He is still on 45% tax. Mesut Ozil is on the same tax bracket, but is on 100 times more money. So yes, it's all relative, right? The way I'm looking at it is that for the good of the football club, right, regardless of what he's done charity work, I couldn't care less what he's done outside of Arsenal Football Club. Genuinely couldn't care less, right? Because that has got nothing to do with him not taking a pay cut. Yeah, what he's done with his wages after he's been paid his wages, cool, that's up to you. Every single member of that playing staff has been asked to take a pay cut for the good and great of this football club. Doesn't say Mesut Ozil FC outside Arsenal, does it? It says Arsenal FC. Yeah, him and his agent should be disgusted with themselves, right? Regardless of what he's done charity-wise. Barcelona, for example, yeah? Messi, arguably the greatest player ever to have kicked a football in his life, 70%. Same as every single Barcelona player, 70% pay cut. Bayern Munich, 70% pay cut. Roma, 80% pay cut. We were talking off air just before we come on here. Barcelona's naming rights for their stadium, they've basically said all the money we get for the first season, we'll give it to charity. Yeah, we'll give it away. Yeah, we'll give it to the people that need it. Yeah, that's the biggest football club on the planet, right? He is one of the biggest names in football and one of the biggest salaries in world football. And you've got him sitting there with his agent colluding together to go, well, actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We're not going to take a pay cut. What we'll do, get your accounts out in 6 months' time and we'll see where we're at as a football club. Well, why?
Okay, well, sorry, the comments are coming in on rapid. You says, do you remember the conversation you had with Kevin Campbell on pay cuts? And do not negate the size of the charity work that he does. I mean, Lee, listen, on one of the points you make there, right? Is it not reasonable, right, for him to say, and as I said, it was, a lot of people have been saying this, is it not reasonable for him to say, you know what, hold on, I want to see first what sort of state this club's going to be in before I decide what I'm going to do? What is wrong with saying that? That is quite a reasonable thing to do, isn't it? If I came to you, right, and you're, I'm under contract to you, and you're saying to me, yo, Robbie, I need you to take a pay cut. And I say to you, well, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll do that. I'll actually even take more.
Yeah.
First of all, let's see what, how things are going to work out. Because remember, if football comes back, yeah, a lot of those revenues may return. It could even, we don't know, nobody knows at the moment, it could even be a massive windfall because everybody's going to want to get back into football again. So we don't know. At this stage, we don't know. It's not like they've said, right, the season's finished.
Yeah.
So we've lost X amount that he could then turn around and say, well, wow, man, it's going to be tough on us.
It's a deferred payment.
I'm gonna give.
Not an actual pay cut. It's only an actual pay cut if we don't make Europa League football, right?
And the other thing, sorry, just to cut you there. And the other thing is as well, those pay cuts that you've described for some of those other teams, that's not for the whole season. They've taken like an 80% pay cut now, 70% pay cut now to this month or the next. That's not, the 12.5% is for the whole season. Yeah. Once they've agreed to that, if they don't get into the Champions League or they don't get into, that's it. That money. So he's saying, I want to wait. Let me wait and see what's happening. If at the end of the season or whatever that, then we can come to some sort of agreement.
Okay, cool. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So let's say we've got 2,000 staff that are non-playing staff. What, are they just going to sit there and wait then? Because Mesut Ozil can't be asked to donate.
It's not for him to pay them.
Well, that's rubbish.
Hold on, that's the other thing, Lee.
Come on, right?
Lee, one second. It's not his football club, Mesut Ozil doesn't own Arsenal. Mesut Ozil is employed by Arsenal. He's employed. Yeah. Just like the person in the who sells the shirt, or the person in the ticket office is employed by Arsenal. KSE employed him. Yeah. Mesut Ozil is employed by KSE as well. He's just on a lot more money than them, but he's employed by them. So it's not whatever. This is why they've had to go to them and ask them, would you be willing to? Because It's not his. It's not his football club. He doesn't own Arsenal. If Arsenal last year, remember as well, Arsenal last year were trying their hardest to sell him.
Okay, working on that.
He doesn't really own nothing to, does he? It's up to him, isn't it?
Of course he doesn't. But working on that basis, my missus, who's been furloughed, could have said, "Well, hold on a minute. Hold on. No. I want that extra 20% you owe me. I'll tell you what, defer it. You can pay me it when everything's back. Show me your bank balance in 6 months. And the 20% that I'm not getting paid while I'm sat on my backside at home, I want all of that back." Because
there's a difference. There's a difference, Lee. No, there's a difference, Lee, because then the company could turn around to her and say, "Well, you know, we ain't got the money. We're going to have to lay you off."
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and she wouldn't get any, and then she wouldn't get anything, right? The furlough, the money that's coming, the furlough thing is coming from the government. In Mesut Ozil's case, he's under contract. He signed a contract with KSE that says they're going to pay him £350,000 a week for the next X amount of years. That's why we got the whole problem with him where he's on all these wages. People are saying he's under contract. Even if he's injured, they still got to pay it to him, right? So, and all the other players are under contract. And there's nothing in the contract that says that, you know, if something like this happens, you guys have got to take a cut, right? So they still, you know, they're going to have to find his money unless he agrees.
So what makes him so special, that he can sit there and go, well, actually, I'll tell you what, the other 24 out of 27 or whatever it is that have accepted that, we obviously don't know who the other two are. There's a reason this has been leaked, right? It's either been leaked by the football club because they don't want him here anymore, right? Or
that's not right, though, is it? That's not right either. If that's the case,
it works, Robbie, man. Come on, you know that.
Yeah, but it's not right. But that's not again, right? Again, though, right? Again, when you say that now, right? If the football club leaked this, like you and we don't know this, by the way,
it could be another player.
We don't know this, but Lee's speculating. Lee is speculating, right? The football club. So you're speculating that the football club has leaked this because they don't want him anymore.
Or another player could have leaked it. A player.
But the first thing you said is the football club might have leaked this because they don't want him anymore. Yeah. Now, me as a player, if I know you don't want me no more and stuff like that, why should I do you a favour then? Why should you don't even want me there? Why should I do you a favour? I'll keep holding my money. If things are really bad, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Why does he need to do that?
Robbie, at the same time, right, the amount of people I've seen today and in the comment section right now, he's done so much for charity. He's done this. Stan Kroenke's a billionaire. You've just pinned one there. Stan Kroenke's a billionaire, right? I think I said this last time I was on, If I own a construction company and I'm not getting a single penny of income because I can't go to work because of what's happened through no fault of my own, the same as Ozil, no fault of his own, he can't go to football now, He can't go training. He's still picking up his wages, but he can't go to work, Stan Kroenke can't run his football club and all of his other franchises. I couldn't care less about the others. I'm talking about Arsenal now, There's no money coming into Arsenal Football Club, right? Yet, we are still paying out every single member of staff on the books, full salary, every single week a month, He's then got out his own checkbook and said, I'm going to invest money into the club, right? If I did that and I owned a construction business, there's only so long you can keep plugging that gap. It's like a leak. You plug one, then another one comes along. There's only so far you can go. That is not sustainable. The easiest way for it to be sustainable is to either furlough your staff, make people redundant, or restructure the pay structure. The restructuring of pay structure comes from the top brass, mate, and from the top earners. The 30% that the top brass have taken, credit to them, because I give them enough stick, the top boys at Arsenal, They've taken 30% pay cut. Why can't he, regardless of his footballing ability and what I think of him as a footballer, why can't he, as the top earner at this football club, take a 12.5% pay cut, which is what, 37 grand a week or whatever it is, which, by the way, is still 12 times more than Bukayo Saka is getting paid every single week. Now, I get there at different spectrums of the footballing scale right now. But if Bukayo Saka is one of them that's taken a pay cut, why can't he? Who does he think he is? Like, genuinely, who does the guy think he is?
It's down to every player. It's down to every individual. It's down to every individual. It's a voluntary decision. It's not like you have to take a pay cut. It's down to every individual. DT argued it today, and he said that he does so much work for charity.
Irrelevant.
He does.
Irrelevant. So does every footballer. Christmas Day on Sky Sports, you'll see hundreds of Premier League and lower league footballers in great.
He is. Mesut Ozil's famous for his charitable work.
It's a tax write-off, Robbie. It's a tax write-off.
It's not all a tax write-off.
No, it's not
all of. See, that's a myth.
40% on the money that you donate to a charity. If you donate, let me say this, yeah. If you donate £1.4 million a year to charity, you are not getting taxed 45% on that £1.4 million. Fact, right?
True. But when you say tax write-off, you make it sound like
So he's not going to get taxed on that £1.4 million. That is 1 month's salary. Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. Yeah. If you were Mesut Ozil and you're on £1.4 million a month and you're doing this charity work, which by the way is absolutely superb and fantastic, the stuff the geezer's done for people across this world, fair play to the guy, yeah, right? But let's not sit here and use that as oh well, that's all right, he don't have to take a pay cut. What a load of rubbish, right? If he was on 1,500 quid a month, do you think he'd be doing all of that work? He'd be struggling to live, which is what the guy who works in the armoury is doing, which is what the woman who works in the ticket office is doing, and anybody else who works at Arsenal Football Club who is not on mega money. And because of him not taking a pay cut, they might not now get paid. Do you see what I'm saying?
It's not his responsibility.
No, that's the top owner at the football club is to donate the same as everybody else, with the view that you're good enough that you will get that money back. When people are sitting there telling me that, oh, he wants to have a look at the books to maybe pay more, what a load of rubbish. Why don't you pay them more? And then when the books are how you think they should be in 6 months, you'll get your money back. Yeah, what a load of rubbish.
It's not his responsibility. Remember that point that I made earlier. We had a guy, his comment came up. Sorry, I didn't catch his name. He said that when we had Kevin Campbell on the show, right?
Yeah.
Respected ex-Arsenal player, right?
Yeah.
This was before this all blew up, right? And I remember I asked Kevin Campbell and I said, should the players, I said, if you were still playing, Kev, would you take a pay cut? And he said, no.
I remember that. I remember, yeah.
He said, no. He goes, I wouldn't take a pay cut. And I was like, what are you? He said, he goes, Robbie, I'll take a deferral.
Yeah, but
he basically said the same thing what Ozil's doing now. He said, I'll take a deferral.
Yeah, but that's
what if times are hard. If times are hard, you can pay me later. You can pay me later on. I'll take a deferral. You know, but I wouldn't be taking a pay cut. You know what I mean? So you know,
that's what the club have asked, Robbie. They've asked for a deferral of 12.5%. Yeah, and if you get us Champions League in the next 12 months, not this month, not this year,
it's only a deferral. It's not really a deferral. It's a pay cut.
We'll get into the Champions League this season or next season. They will get £100,000 bonus on top of their money back.
If you get into the Champions League
next season and get us Champions League next season, then they'll get all of their money back plus £100,000 bonus.
No, I think it's Champions League this season.
No, it's next season as well.
Right.
This season or next
season. Next season.
Yeah. This season or next season, if they get us into the Champions League, they will get all of their money back. So if they don't get us Champions League this season, but they do next season and they get Champions League, they'll get £100,000 bonus on top of getting their money back. If we don't get Europa League, they'll only get 7.5% of it back. So when you sit in there saying, I want to have a look at your accounts in a year's time and I want to see where we're at because I want to donate more, why don't you donate that more and stick your money where your mouth is, yeah? And then in 6 months or a year's time, if the club's in a great financial state, you'll get all of that back anyway. Instead, he's not, which conveniently ties in with the fact his contract expires next year. Come on, man.
Michelle,
like a fiddle.
Michelle says Ozil has a moral responsibility. Fact. The FFP means that clubs' income must be earned organically. If Arsenal go tits up, Ozil can get a new club. That's true. But it's not his responsibility. The ultimate thing is it's not his or any other one of those players, or Arteta, or none of them. It's not their responsibility. I think that most of them are doing it out of the kindness of their heart because they're like, you know what, let's help out. But it's not their responsibility. You know what I mean? Just like, it's up to Stan Kroenke. If Stan Kroenke makes a profit of
Stan Kroenke's dipping millions
next year
into the club.
Hold on. If he makes a profit of £50 million next year, right? He probably ain't going to go to Ozil and players like that and say, here's an extra X amount each.
How do we know
Is
that?
he?
He's giving them 100 grand bonus.
What do you think? What do you think?
We're giving them 100 grand bonus if we get Champions League either this season.
That's tied to incentives league. That's different. He's not out of the kindness of his heart saying, "Boy, you know what? Here's this," right? So they might be looking at it and say, "You've never given us anything more than what our contract deserves." And in the case of Ozil, as you pointed out, earlier, you might be looking at it and say, "Well, you know what? The way you guys have treated me. Even over the last 12 months, you've been trying to push me out of the club and stuff like that."
Yeah,
well, no, man, I'll give. I don't want to see. I've been at this club for a long time. I love the club, but I don't want to see the club suffer the backroom staff and people like that. I don't want to see them suffer, but I want to see first. I don't really trust you guys.
Robbie, he's been paid an absolute fortune for 6 years. Way too much money, yeah? I think it's way too much. Some people will think it's all right. He has been paid 350 grand a week since 2017. Before that, he was on 140 grand a week, yeah? From the day he started to the day he leaves, 153 million pound out of this football club it has cost to have him at this football club, right?
We wanted him.
Hang on.
We wanted him, didn't we?
Yeah.
You've got to pay him.
Right, okay. So I run my business, for example, and I can't afford to pay everyone because I'm struggling. And I go, well, I don't want to furlough everyone because it's a bad look in the local community for me to furlough my staff. So what I'll do is I'll ask all of my top earners to take a pay cut. Yeah. Are you saying that as a business owner for me, for example, that I don't want to furlough my staff, that I'm not supposed to go and take that money off of someone else at the company? Am I supposed to just dip into my pocket and go, oh, here you go,
I have to. It's your business. Hold on, Lee. It's your business. Yep. If you go, you can go and ask people.
Okay. And if they say no,
if they feel like it, if they think, you know what, over the years, man, the boss has treated me really well, man, and you know, I know he's got the club at heart, and I know, I know he's got the business at heart. So you know what, I'm going to help him out on this one, and I'm going to do that, right? But then also on the other hand, you might be saying to yourself, well, boy, you know what? Nah, man, this guy, he's been trying to push me out of the club. And as well, he's got a history of, I don't even know where this money's going. Nah, until I see where that's going, I'll do it. But I want to make sure that money goes to people.
They know where the money's going. The money is going to playing the non-playing football staff at the club. Can I just say this as well, right? Do you remember all this, we care, do you? Yeah? Is anyone aiming that at Mesut Ozil right now? We care, do you? Because everyone was saying...
It's not his club.
Yeah?
It's not his club.
It's not his club, but he is the highest paid player at the football club, refusing.
It's not Lee. He doesn't own Arsenal. At the end of next year, when his contract's up, it's goodbye. It's Mesut, see you later.
That'd be a bigger day when Wenger went, mate. Because
so you're just hating on him then?
No, mate. Do you know what? I have not hated for his footballing ability at this football club. I cannot stand the geezer, mate. I have not rated him for at least 3 years. Yeah. And I've been called every name under the sun for not rating him. I've been called racist for not rating him. I've been called everything you can think of for not rating him, right? That has nothing to do with him taking a pay cut. His footballing ability is irrelevant right now. If everybody else at that football club, including Stan Kroenke, the we care do you people that were all crying about Stan Kroenke not putting his money in, Stan Kroenke is now going to invest money out of his own pocket into his business, right?
All right.
It's not any business. People have been made redundant out of this, Robbie. People that are on a contractor, for example, might not have any work. They might go. So they ain't got any money coming in. People are being restructured on their pay structures day in, day out across the whole globe because of this, which is no fault of anybody's, yeah? The least that geezer can do for taking over £100 million in wages out of that football club for doing next to nothing over 7 years, yeah, is donate 12.5% of his money with a deferral system, which is what Arsenal have asked him to do, with the view that if you get us in the Champions League next season, you'll get it back plus 100 grand. Oh no, I want to have a look at your books. Get out.
All right, let me
£1 contract off and get him out the door.
Let me get a couple of comments. Wing says morally Ozil should pay at least 12.5%. End of story. Mr. Leon VWF says, if your boss said, can you take a pay cut so I can be okay? Multi-billionaire boss asking for us to help them. What would you say? Players donate anyway. That's a good point. If your boss came to you at your job where you worked, right? You used to work in sales, I know that. And the sales manager drove up to the office in his Rolls Royce, jumped out and said to him, "Lee, things are a bit tough at the moment, man. Can you take a pay cut?" You probably take and do one.
I was self-emploed, so if I didn't work, I didn't get paid anyway.
Here he goes.
Yeah, come on.
Ambrose says AFC may be fine without Ozil taking a pay cut, but it shows where his moral compass lies. No, not for the greater good.
Yeah.
But he does, as a lot of people pointed out, he gives a lot of money.
Again, irrelevant.
Causes.
Again, irrelevant. So does every other footballer on the planet, Robbie.
Mm.
Yeah.
This guy said,
what Aubameyang's done for Gabon. Yeah, he's done loads.
This guy says Arsenal board is getting their excuses ready not to buy new players, because after you ask players to take a pay cut, you can't go and spend money on new players.
Good point.
I mean, that's the other thing is as well, right? So you asked all the players there to take a pay cut, but then if you fancy another player, you turn around and you say to him, "Yeah, off you go." That's why players may not be, maybe not be that keen Lee to take it. I mean, this guy says after Lee's rant, I felt I got a master's degree in hating Ozil. Lee, some of this coming out because you don't like Ozil. Come on.
No, Robbie, what it is, right, is I haven't wanted him at this football club for about 3.5, 4 seasons now, right? There is people out there that actually actively back this geezer regardless. We've seen that. Me and you have had debates outside the football ground. We've had it on a podcast. We're doing it on here now about his footballing ability, yeah, and what he can and can't bring to a football team, right? Now, when you go on to this, right, all I've seen today is people going, "Oh, but he does so much for charity." Whoop-de-doo. What has that got to do with Arsenal Football Club today and him not taking a pay cut?
Arsenal's not a charity, though.
Regardless.
Arsenal's not. Look at this guy. Look at this guy's comment, right? Shrey says, Crystal Palace are paying their staff and players in full without implementing a pay cut.
Yeah.
So are Arsenal in a worse position than Palace? Why are Arsenal the only team implementing this wage cut? Why is it Arsenal? That's the other thing. We're the first team doing this pay cut thing, yeah?
Leeds United.
Great. But
Leeds United players took a voluntary pay cut without being asked.
Leeds, come on, Leeds United don't earn nowhere near the money.
Crystal Palace, Robbie. What's the highest earner at Crystal Palace? He's probably on about 20 quid a week.
Leeds are not a Premier League team. Crystal Palace, a Premier League team. They don't get in. What the point the person's trying to make is that they don't get nowhere near the income of Arsenal. Yet still, at this moment in time, they're paying their staff.
Yeah.
Arsenal quick to say to players, take a pay cut. Right?
Their highest earners probably Zaha on 50, 60, 70 grand a week.
It's all relative. No, hold on, Lee. It's all relative.
It's all relative, Robbie. So if you're getting paid £18 million a year, right, and 12% of that is 36 grand, you're now giving 12 times more Bukayo Saka's weekly wage as your donation to the club. Bukayo Saka is giving 12.5% of £3 grand. Mesut Ozil is giving 36 grand. 37 grand is his 12%, yeah? Which is 10, 12 times more than Bukayo Saka actually earns. Come on, man. It's all relative, which is why when I'm sitting here saying, like when I heard people saying, "Oh, but he pays his tax and X amount goes here and X amount goes there." Yeah, cool. You're on a higher bracket of tax when you hit up, I think it's 80 grand or 70 grand, whatever it may be, yeah, a year. Bukayo Saka is paying the same level of tax as Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil will pay more tax because he's earning a stupid amount more. If I'm earning £300 a week, I'm paying less tax than you on £600 a week because it's all relative. What is also relative is the fact that the guy who works in the club shop and everywhere else, and I know it's not Mesut Ozil's club, yeah, well, the way people are going on where they're protecting him all day today, it sounds like it might be Mesut Ozil FC, yeah, because all I've seen is he does this for charity, but he's the most caring person in the world in football. Absolute rubbish, irrelevant, and nothing to do with the fact that he is the highest paid player at Arsenal, one of the highest paid players in the Premier League, and he and his agent have sat there and said, "We want to see what your financial state is in a year's time or 6 months' time before we decide to chip in." Yeah, but Bukayo Saka on £3 a week, I go, yeah, cool. Yeah, it's all wrong.
Sergio says Messi donated €1 million to hospitals. He still took a 70% pay cut. It's the intention that matters. P.S. Robbie, you missed my earlier super chat. I apologize for that, Sergio. Thank you very much for that. Yes. Asham says, don't think Ozil is stupid enough to donate so much and not take a 12.5% pay cut. He definitely would know the backlash there will be. Well, he didn't know that this was probably going to get leaked out, which, again, that's a bit out of order that it's been leaked out. And that, you know, because I'm sure they would have said to people in confidence, this is in confidence. It's up to you guys. And who's leaked this out? It's terrible. I mean, people. I saw people saying today that there might be a snitch in the dressing room. I don't think it's from the dressing room. The players are not even together.
It might be. You know, if you're getting involved in saying, if you're say, I don't know, Granit Xhaka on £100 a week, and you're going, yeah, cool, I'll take a pay cut, but then you know he ain't taking one. And he's on 3.5 times more than you. That might upset a few people.
He said he's not taking one. He's saying, I want to find out where and what the state the things in before I commit to it.
So Mikel Arteta can take one.
Quite fair enough. Is that? Hold on, Lee.
Nah,
is that not fair? Is it not fair to say I want to see first what's happening about the club? What's happening? What state are the club in before we do this?
They're in a good enough state to keep paying him £1.4 million a month, Robbie. Yeah. They're still paying him. He's not worked for 2 months nearly, mate.
The owner of the club is a multi-billionaire.
Irrelevant.
Yeah? No, it is relevant. You know why it's relevant? Because it's his club. He owns it, right? The buck stops with him.
Which is what he's doing. He's dealing with his business by taking pay cuts off of the highest earners in the business.
He has decided as a cost-cutting measure to try and go to the players, approach the players and ask them if they would be willing to do this pay cut. But it's not down to the players. It's whether the players are doing it from the kindness of their heart.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
They're looking on it and they're saying, you know what, to help people out, we're going to do it. In the case of Mesut Ozil, there's obviously a trust issue there, and he's saying, I'm only going to do it when I see what's happening.
Yeah.
Is that not fair enough?
No, because do you know what? Do you know what? Maybe Arsenal, when it comes around to payday at the end of the month, go, boy, actually, yeah, we ain't got enough money to pay you this month, Mesut. Sorry. Yeah, then what? What's he going to do then? Spit his dummy out?
He's under contract, so then that means that Stan Kroenke is going to have to dig into his own money.
Which is what he's doing, but not many media outlets have put out there. Stan Kroenke is actually putting his own money into the football club to keep the club going.
Mo was saying last night. I mean, I don't know. I've been so busy today. I haven't even had a chance to check. He was saying that there's nothing about that on the website. It's leaked out and said that he's going to be putting in and supporting the club. Yep. But there is no mention on the website, and there's no mention of how much.
No. But if the web,
but yet still, we're coming to everybody else, take a 12.5%. But that's maybe Lee why they're saying we want to see more. We want to hear more. What are you doing?
His agent is greedy, Robbie. It's as simple as that. His agent is greedy, right? We've seen that. He should bow down and kiss Alexis Sanchez's feet every time he sees him, yeah. Because without Alexis Sanchez, he wouldn't be nicking 350 grand a week. It's as simple as that. Right?
Don't be bitter that the man's earning this. We paid him it. We can't be bitter about that.
We paid him it, and it was only because we allowed, and it was the stupidness of this football club to allow the two biggest names at the football club to run their contract down.
That's not his fault, is it?
No, but what is his fault is sitting there. Well, it is actually technically because he played the game and he waited.
No, they didn't have to pay him. They didn't have to pay him. It's not his fault, right? They paid him the money. Ozil has played terrible, this guy says, for the past few seasons. He would accept a pay cut. It's fine with him. And to avoid another Ozil issue, Arsenal should not offer a lot of money to Aubameyang. He's too old, he says. Sort of slightly going. Mark says, why just dig out Ozil? Half the players shouldn't get what they get.
Because half the players have paid more money.
Jelly Spoon says you're debating hearsay. Stop and wait for the facts to come out. Well, we're debating what we've heard. I mean, obviously we don't know. Nobody knows. It's been a hot debate today, right? You can't say, oh, don't debate it. It's been a hot topic today. Everybody's talking about it, and that's why we're talking about it tonight. Of course, we don't know. I mean, it would be not. That's why Mesut Ozil's got various social media platforms. It'd be great for him maybe to come out and make a statement. I don't know, but then maybe that might even make things worse because, that might sort of start a big sort of argument between him and the club. Certainly, if I was Mesut Ozil tonight, I'd be very angry that this has leaked out. Because I think that's out of order that's leaked out. Brojo says technical things aside, all the players at the club have accepted a pay cut, but Ozil, and you're the highest earner, shows a lot really. So he's, it's 50-50 really. It's 50-50. You know what I mean? There's some people that are completely on your side, Lee. There's some people that
the thing is, Robbie, right? His agent came out 2 weeks ago and said, I've advised everyone against taking a pay cut. We want a deferral and we want to see where it's at in a year. Then this story comes out and everyone's going, oh no, that's rubbish. Well, it's rubbish because you don't believe it. The fact is, go and do your research. Go and hear what his agent said. It ain't just a made up story. It's actual on a podcast. His agent said that. I've advised every one of my clients not to take a pay cut. We want it deferred. Now he's come out with this. This story's been leaked out. And this is only going to cause problems in the dressing room when they go back. Because them 3 players, we don't know who the other 2 are. Them 3 players, they better make sure that the others ain't on their case when they walk into training, man.
Lude says, a little away from the Ozil situation, would you win the Champions League final in 2006 and lose 1 game in Invincible season?
Champions League final, man. Come on.
Yeah, I was at that, man. That was horrible. Back on Ozil. You know what? Listen, the thing is about it, right, is that I can kind of, and I had the All Guns Blazing podcast today. Just like you're putting up a very passionate defense against Ozil, I had DT on today, and he put up a very passionate defense for Ozil. So there's 2 sides. There really is 2 sides, and you can see why there'd be some people not really wanting to trust the owners of the club. Biro says that the club wanted him out, so why should he help? That's a great point. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you now. Yeah, if it was me and the club. And we don't know all the things that have gone on behind the scenes. But I think it was pretty obvious last season at the start of it with Unai Emery, the way he got treated, Ozil. No. And I think hold on. Oh. And I think that was sanctioned by the club, yeah? They obviously were trying to freeze him out, yeah? Because he's on big wages. They wanted to get that off the wage bill. Rightly or wrongly, listen, it's up to Arsenal wouldn't be the first club to do it. Yeah, it's a done thing in football. We know that. But then me as the player now, when times are tough now, you're trying to run me out of the club. Yeah,
all the more reasons
you're trying to make things so tough for me that I turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to break this contract and leave. Yeah, and then when things are going tough now, you're coming to me, please help me here. I'll be like, yeah, you got your billions. You go and deal with that. And you know what? Come back. If things are really bad, come back and check me and I'll help you out. But right now, I don't really want to do nothing for you lot. And he's not talking about the Arsenal fans. I don't want to do nothing for you guys because you guys, trust me, the people, other fans and people out, they don't really know what you lot are like, but I know how you lot have treated me. And I don't really feel to do nothing for you lot. I will do something. I will do something for you. I will do something for you. If you can show me that things have gone that bad, I'll help you out. I'll even give you more. But in the meantime, until I see that, I'm holding on to my money.
Okay, so why don't he?
Wrong with that?
Yeah, but Robbie, I do have an issue with that because you know what? Firstly, he didn't get treated like anything. He was playing crap. He weren't doing it in training. And Unai Emery's.
How do you know? You weren't at training. They were trying to.
Unai Emery said he was.
The hot rumors are they were trying to squeeze him out. They wanted him off the wage bill.
Because Unai Emery
on the high wages. listen, we don't know 100%. I could be wrong, you could be wrong, right? But we've seen this happen a lot in football. Yeah. When you've got a player that's on very, very high wages and you want to get him out the door, right? So what you do is you make things uncomfortable for him. You don't get picked until the player says, you know, let him get out of here, and they've got what they wanted. But he stayed, right? And I'm just talking. He's personally, he might not want to do nothing for him.
Yeah, but he's happy to take 1.4 million a month. Cool. Well, I'll tell you what, out of all the money that's being donated, rustle up 18 million pounds and get him out of the club, pay his contract off, rip it up, see ya. Go and run your coffee shop in America, mate. Yeah, because at the end of the day, Robbie, right, it's not about the owner of the football club. It's about all the staff that are non-playing staff that can't go to work and can't get paid. Yeah. We don't want to furlough them. I've said this already. We do not want to furlough. Can you imagine the meltdown in this fan base if we furloughed our staff after we all sat here laughing at Tottenham and Liverpool for doing it? Yeah, and then reversing it. Yeah, we don't want to do that, right? So why don't you help the guy in the club shop? Why don't you help the ticket guy? Why don't you help the guy who sweeps the car park? Why don't you help that guy? Because you're such a nice, humble, genuinely lovely fella. But no, you don't want to do that because your agent has told you not to bother, because you want to check the finances of the club like you're some sort of an accountant or something. Yeah, for me, it's disgusting. And not only that, what example does that set to the younger players at this football club, that the biggest earner at the football club, the biggest name in terms of celebrity footballer, will sit there and do that? What example does that set to the youngsters? Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, players like that coming through, yeah? It's disgusting. And when you look at Leo Messi, somebody put, I think it was Sergio put up earlier, said that he donated $1 million or €1 million plus took a 70% pay cut. Every single player coming through that Barcelona academy will look up and go, do you know what? What a lovely fella. Yeah. Instead, our players are probably sitting there outing him to the media, which is why it's out there, because that is going to cause a mutiny.
You don't know if it was the players. You don't know. I get the feeling it weren't the players, because as I said, the players are not at the training ground. Remember, they're all at home. So I don't know. And this would have been done.
They all speak.
The club probably leaked it. That's what I think, or someone at the club. Even the Glazers are paying player and staff in full. United have 3 times the cost of Arsenal, and the Glazers are not worth as much as Kroenke. Who should be more considered with Arsenal's future, Ozil or Kroenke?
Well, Kroenke's the owner. Kroenke's the owner.
Kroenke's the owner. It's his business.
Kroenke's the owner. So guess what? The quickest one to get rid of is that footballer, yeah, that don't want to help us out. Cool. We'll rip your contract up. Take us to court. Simple, isn't it? See ya. Yeah, but at the end of the day, Robbie, right? He's on free.
I don't know if this is DT, but he says. I don't know if it's his DT, but he says he doesn't have to help them. Staff are employees of Arsenal, not employees of Mesut Ozil. That's true. Yeah. They're not employees of Mesut Ozil.
Yeah. So
they don't work for Mesut Ozil. They don't turn up. They don't come at the end of the month, right? And they don't say, Mesut, I ain't been paid yet.
Yeah.
No,
of course they don't. But at the end of the day, if you run a business, Robbie, yeah, right now, right, like I said, my missus works in a dentist, yeah? That dentist can't be open right now. So she's been furloughed, yeah? She gets paid next Tuesday or next Wednesday. She don't even know if she's getting the other 20%. If she doesn't get paid that 20%, yeah, for however long this takes, right? She don't even know if she'll have a job in 6 months' time if this continues in 6 months, yeah? So she might not get paid that 20% next week, yeah? So she's taken a 20% pay cut through no fault of her own, which is pretty much what 80% of this country have done, is taking a 20% pay cut, yeah? Let's say her boss is a multi-billionaire, yeah? Then what? Oh, what? Because if you're a billionaire, you've got to pay it. No, business does not work like that. Business does not work like that. You run your business in cost. Arsenal is running in cost until something like this happens, where you're now not getting any money coming in. So you'll run your business, so 10%, for example, cost of what your income is, yeah? So you'll pay your staff 10% of what your annual income is, yeah? Running in cost roughly is about 10%, right? So you're now not getting that income. You're still paying out that 10%. you can only sustain that for so long before you have to make cuts in your business, i.e. making people redundant, furloughing staff, which is not the classy thing for Arsenal to do, because we're the classy football club. That classy, our top earner can't be asked to help out. Yeah,
it's not his club. Well, you know what? When things go like that, Lee, when things go like that, right? You as the owner of the business, you got to take the right now. AFTV, right? I've got to take the hit.
Yeah,
there's no football going on. It's staying for us. There's no football going on. There's no the advertisers are not advertising like what they would. You've got to take the hit.
Okay, so
you've got to take the hit. I can't. I mean, you know what I mean. You know, it's how it is, man. It's how it is. So you've got a decision. Lee, you have a decision to make. You can lay off staff. You can go to staff and ask them to take a pay cut. You can ask them. You can't tell them to. You can ask them to, or you can put your hand in your pocket and say, you know what, I'm just going to have to just deal with this so that everybody else can get. There's a lot of owners of businesses around this country and around the world right now that are digging into their own pocket to ensure that people stay in a job.
Yeah. Right? Guess what? They're going to want their money back.
It would not be fair of me to go to an employee and then say to him, hey, you know what, I need you to do this, or the business is going to.
No, you're missing the point, Robbie. The point is, if you run a business and you're not getting a single penny of income, you have a decision to make. You either go and ask the top earners at that company that you're still paying full whack to help out by taking a pay cut, whether that be 10%, 12.5%, or 20%, yeah, to help keep the business in cost. Otherwise, you have to take from an outside source, i.e. your personal wealth. Yeah, right?
Business.
So, hang on, that's business. Right?
And this guy's got a lot of personal wealth. He's got a lot of personal wealth.
He hasn't, though. That's the point. He's got a lot of personal wealth wrapped up in other businesses. He hasn't got billions. Yeah, the fact is,
Mr. Ozil could be saying the same thing.
If you're not going to help out with that, unfortunately, we're going to have to furlough staff, which we don't want to do because we want to still pay you. Oh, if we can't furlough you, we're going to make you redundant.
Lee, you're talking the double standards. Double standards. It's all right for him to say, so he's got other businesses. So has Mesut Ozil. And one of his businesses is playing football, right? And you know, it's not
still for him not to do it.
I'm sorry, let me just get this one. Matthew says, sick of Ozil, overrated since the start, greedy rat. Was that you, Sunday? Given says, just say you hate I think he's talking to you, Lee.
I do. I hate him.
Just say you hate Ozil, but don't judge his character because we know he's a humble human being and you will never ever meet, by the way.
Come on, man. Have you met him? Nobody knows that. What you get is what you see from his little...
You know what, Lee, you can judge a person off of their actions, right? And this guy, even before forget the crisis that we're in at the moment, yeah? I don't want you to mention Didier Drogba and all that. Everybody does their own thing, yeah?
Yeah.
But one thing we know about this guy, Ozil, is he's always giving to charities. And I think it's really disrespectful to just, when somebody does these things, they do a lot of charitable things. And that's only what you hear of. You don't know what the other stuff he does.
No, of course.
I think it's disrespectful if you say, oh, yeah, but it's a tax write-off.
Well,
you don't have to do it. There's other things you can do, right, to defer tax and things. There's other little things you can do as well.
Right? When people are sitting there breaking down how much he pays in tax, it's a load of rubbish because he ain't paying 45% in tax.
He doesn't have to.
He's got an offshore account in Monaco, Robbie. Come on, man.
He doesn't have to give to charity. That's his choice.
Yeah, he doesn't have to give to charity, but he'd be giving it to the tax man. So what would he do? The nice thing to do is go and help somebody out who's less privileged, which I can.
Not everybody. You hear time after time again, this guy gives stuff to charity.
That is irrelevant in taking a pay cut with Arsenal Football Club. What he has done.
What do you give to charity? What do you do?
What do I give to charity? My brother's blind. Yeah, my youngest brother.
No. Charity. What do you give to charity?
I give to the blind, Robbie. My mum's got Parkinson's. I donate to the Parkinson's every year as well. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
At the end of the day, yeah.
So if I turned around to you,
I don't also write it off my tax bill, mate.
So what you do there is brilliant, right? Yeah. But if I then turned around to you after you did that and turned around and said, "Oh, you're only doing that as a tax dodge,"
yeah, but I don't go shoot the rooftops that I've done it to make myself look good in the media. Yeah, come on. Nobody knew that until I just told you that. At the end of the day, Robbie, right, it is irrelevant what he has given to charity. Yeah, but I expect nothing less from people backing him about what he's previously done, because they've spent 6 years telling me what he'd done at Real Madrid. Yeah, come on, seriously.
Bruce says, my boss tells me to take a pay cut and I'm laughing in his face. Choice is pay me or fire me. It's that simple. Ozil says no. So let Kroenke pay them or fire them. Lee has been embarrassed here.
If they make you redundant, you're now going home to your wife saying to your wife, my friend, well, they've made me redundant. She's going to slap you with a fish and say, you idiot, why don't you just take 10% pay cut?
Jim says, a question for you both. What are your opinions on the 2 players that refuse pay cuts? Should they be held accountable, granted that they earn less than Ozil?
Yep. And when we find out who they are, I'll be going to town on them too as well.
It's up to them, though, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, but Robbie, but listen, let me say this, right? This is a really good point here, yeah? We're never going to forget this scenario and what's happened, yeah? This has never happened. It's unprecedented what's happened, yeah, with this whole virus thing, right? Imagine in 10 years' time, we're all sitting there when Arsenal are great again, right? Mesut Ozil's got a statue for what he did against Ludogorets, right? And we're all going, do you know what? Wasn't that a really nice thing, what all of these players did 10 years ago in 2020, when that whole pandemic happened and they kept the football club going because they all helped out and donated. Instead, in 10 years' time, we're all going to look back at this and go, do you remember he was one of the only 3 that didn't bother donating? Yeah, it would have been a genuinely nice thing for us to all sit in 10 years ago. Do you know what? I might not have rated him as a footballer, but he was part of that squad that donated and kept that club afloat and helped it out. Yeah, instead, nah. And for that, nah, man, I don't rate him.
This guy says, Mane is the most generous footballer in the world. I bet he would take a pay cut with closed eyes.
Yep.
Well, we don't know yet.
We will see.
He hasn't been asked to take a pay cut. What's this one? Sorry. Is there any chance these other 2 players could be El Neni and Mkhitaryan because they're on loan and in different countries? Not too sure how it works. Well, we don't know who the other 2 is, so I think it's kind of unfair to say. If we take off this pure hater.
I'm not a pure hater. People don't like facts, mate. The facts are he's been rubbish for 6 years. 7 years, is cost us £153 million from day one to day finish, and is one of 3 players that's reportedly not prepared to help the football club. I'm sorry, if you want to back that and you want to sing that, I can't join in.
This guy, Antita23, says, Ozil donating to charity, very good, but nothing to do with Arsenal. We all know Ozil's true colours. He's greedy, lazy, and the only thing the only thing about Arsenal he cares about Arsenal is the money. I mean, listen, it is a PR disaster. This whole thing for Mesut Ozil, really, it is a PR disaster. But then who's leaked it out?
Robbie, you say it's a PR disaster, right? Remember when Emery dropped him, yeah? Right, and he put out that picture on Twitter saying, "You make me laugh," and it was a picture of him smiling. Do you remember? And everyone was going, "That's a dig at Emery." Yeah, all that happened is, all of the thousands upon thousands of Mesut Ozil FC supporters, got on Unai Emery's case. Yeah, you see it. You heard it. Oh, if he's in the squad, we'll get top 4. If he's on the bench, at least we'll get top 4. Well, guess what? He came back in and we finished 5th. Yeah. Now, so that wasn't technically a PR disaster, putting all these pictures out and having snide digs at Unai Emery, because him and his agent are very smart in what they do. Yeah. They know that they have got thousands upon thousands of adoring fans that will follow him anywhere. When he leaves Arsenal, which is hopefully next year, right? Arsenal's Twitter following, Facebook following, and Insta following will drop like Real Madrid's did, yeah? And then the next team he goes to, they'll get that boost because they're not Arsenal fans, they're not Madrid fans, they're Mesut Ozil fans, right? So I don't think it necessarily is a PR disaster. Firstly, it's got his name out there. Now, the thousands upon thousands of people that rate him regardless of how crap he is every week are now sitting there going, oh, but look at what he did for charity 10 years ago. No, he donates so much, and now they're all backing him. So now what it'll do is it'll make the club bow down and go, cool, we don't want your money. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, this guy is, he goes, if Kroenke doesn't like it, he should sell up. That's a true point. If you see, if You know, if it's that hard, maybe Ozil's thinking that as well. Yeah, I mean, you know, you sell up, sell up. This guy says we want Mr. DT. That's a good point, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, if he can't handle it, if it's too, you know, why not sell? You know, sell up.
It's true, Robbie. It's true, but at the same time, man, like at the end of the day, just get him out of the club, mate. Kroenke's going to be here for the next God knows how long. Mesut Ozil's 31. He's got a year left. Just bin him. Yeah.
Mr. A says, I'm more disappointed in the leak. We're meant to be a solid, trustworthy dressing room. Liverpool City wouldn't have had this leak. We don't know. Remember, I personally don't think that leak has come from the dressing room because they ain't been together, the players. So this would have been negotiated. I don't know. They might have done a Zoom call or stuff like that or whatever. I more think the leak has probably come out of the club. That's my personal opinion. There's somebody within the club who knew what happened has leaked it, right? And it's got to a journalist. The journalist who got the original story is, you know, very close, gets a lot of stories from Arsenal. So you start to think to yourself, well, was it a leak? It seems like it. I don't know, but certainly, you know, it's another. Sergio's definitely a fan, not a fan of Ozil. He's saying get the fraud out. Listen, but you know, it's a mixed reaction on this. It's a mixed reaction on this. So I don't know.
If it is an own goal, Robbie, does that double his goals tally for the season?
Yeah, you man, trust me, man. You just, you know. Oh my God, you man. I like Ozil, this guy, Elliot says, but when he leaves next year, we should bring in Nabil Fekir. At Leon Fekir had a really good partnership with Lacazette. We're going to do a few more. And it's been, you know, I've just noticed we've gone over an hour and it's been a hot topic today. It really has been a hot topic. And thank you very much. There's been so many comments coming in. And I've got to say, the comments are on both sides. On both sides, you know what I mean? Like you see with this guy, he said, Ozil diss Arsenal fans, yet some of you still defend him.
Yeah.
You know, so he's looking on it very strongly that, you know, yeah, and this guy says, everyone knows it. It was only Ozil's name who was named because Arsenal wanted all the pressure. I don't really understand that one. But I think I think what he's trying to imply there is Arsenal have leaked this so that everyone can start hating on this guy says well gosh, they're going so fast, man. I'm trying to where did that comment go? There's one guy who's asking what is this guy says Ozil's a scapegoat, end of.
Load of rubbish.
This one. So Valia saying, Robbie, what side are you on? Right?
Well, you've been put on. On you now. What side do you on, Robbie?
Right, because I've been trying to put both points. My thing is on this, right? This is my honest opinion on it, right? Is that it's a PR disaster for, you know, because I just feel that if all the other players have done it, if I was in Mesut Ozil's case, if I was in Mesut Ozil's shoes, I would probably have also said, you know what, I'm going to do it as well because all my other teammates are doing it, so I'm going to do it. So I personally think he should have took the pay cut. However, the thing I've learned about football is we don't always know the ins and outs of what's going on. There's players that leave a club and we're calling him Judas, as for instance in the case of Adebayor, and then years later I'll meet his agent who tells me that he was desperate to stay, and basically the club said to him, "No, you got to go."
Same with
Tanya. We heard Yanni. He was on the show on Saturday when he left. Everybody was slating him for going to Man City. He didn't want to leave Arsenal. He wanted to stay.
Van Persie didn't get offered a new contract. That's what he said on BT Sport.
I'm not too sure about the Van Persie one. We did that last night. I'm not having that. But we don't always know the thing. Now, we don't know what Ozil's relationship with the owners of the club are. I don't think it's a good relationship. It's obvious that they want him out. it's obvious that they don't want him there. Whether he's wherever and however he's played, Lee, they don't want him there, right? Now, if I worked somewhere and I knew that the owners don't really want me, why would I be doing them a favour? That's maybe how I'd be looking at it. I'd be like, well, I ain't doing no favours for you lot. I will, if I can see that it's got so bad that you are going to have to lay people off and you are going to then come and check me and I'll help out. But until then, I don't trust you lot. I don't trust you lot. I'm not too sure. And plus as well, I might be looking and say, well, and what are you giving? I know the execs have taken a 30% cut, but the owner, what are you doing? So we don't know the full ins and outs, but I have to say, when I saw the news that he was the one or one of the three that had refused,
yeah,
I was surprised. I was like, Mezit, that's a big mistake to make. I saw it last night and I was like, you're gonna get hammered. And then as soon as this morning started, it just kicked off and he has been hammered.
Were you surprised though, like that he was one of them? Was you surprised?
I was surprised. Yeah, I was. Well, I was and I wasn't, because I remember, like you said, what the agent said the other day. And the agent made it pretty clear that he was going to be like you said right at the start of the show, that he was going to be telling all of his clients not to take a pay cut. And players do listen to their agents. And sometimes these agents, they're not good people they're not always the greatest people to listen to. They get
a percentage of their wages. Or do the agents still get, like, is it still the agents get a percentage of their clients' wages every month, or is it at the beginning and that's the end of that? Or is it?
I think in some cases they get it right at the beginning of the thing, or in some other cases they get it every month because they've negotiated that.
No wonder
the agent would have negotiated that contract he's on. So, like you said, it can be in his interest to not take a pay cut as well. That's true.
Yeah.
We're going to do a couple more here. Mr. Celtic 12 says, Ozil is a good young player, but he's still has a lot of developing to do. He's not ready for Arsenal move yet, but will be a top player in a couple of years to come. Still things to work on. We spoke about him this morning, the Celtic player that's been, you know anything much about him? He's been linked, the centre-back that's been linked to Arsenal?
Yeah, I know that he's played 40 games this season, I think, so they obviously rate him up there. But
6'6" really, looks the part.
I mean, I've got to admit, I don't know anything about him. I put it up.
That's why I sort of put it out there this morning to Celtic fans.
I put it up on my community page, and there were a few Celtic fans that said to me, "Listen, he's decent, but I don't know whether he'll cut it in the Premier League." So
yeah, that's exactly what that guy's saying as well. So it's too early to tell. Let's get one more here. I'm trying to. Oh, they're all either Ozil in, Ozil out, get him in, out. I'm trying to find one I'm trying to find a question here that maybe hasn't really been addressed yet, but maybe it's more or less the same thing. Let's do this one. This guy says, Arsenal are a rich enough club to survive this situation without laying off any employees.
In regards to that, real quick, because I know you want to wrap this up, all this is proven, not just this scenario with Ozil, but this whole no football, anything like that, is that these football clubs are not as cash rich as people think they are, including me. I thought like money everywhere. Yeah, they rely a hell of a lot on ticket sales on a game by game basis. Yeah, and by other things like on the day in terms of buying food at the ground and stuff like that. And maybe not so much Arsenal, but some of the lesser clubs down the chain. Yeah, and I'll tell you something now, right? You're going to see some big clubs going out of business in the next 12 months. Yeah, or really, really struggling. And then I'll tell you what, right? When it comes around to players that don't want to take pay cuts and do want, yeah, that's all cool. And we can have a wicked debate. And it has been sick, I can't lie, right? But I'm always right. But no, for all jokes aside, we're going to see football eating itself, man. Gary Neville said this earlier, yeah? And the fact and reality is they are all greedy, yeah? They are all greedy, whether they're donating to charity or not donating to charity, whether they're an agent, whether they're a manager, an owner, everybody in football, it's ruthless, man. You know that, Robbie. You're in and around it all the time with your son as well, yeah? It is a ruthless business, mate, right? And I tell you what, they better appreciate us football fans when we get back to football matches, because without us, they're struggling right now. Yeah, they're struggling, aren't they?
It's very, very true. Maybe when Mesut Ozil leaves, maybe you buy one of those struggling clubs. When
he leaves, right? I swear to God, yeah. The party I had when Wenger got sacked, I am going to have a bigger one when he goes. That is the biggest.
Stop hating on Mesut Ozil, man. Stop hating him. Lee, listen, thanks very much for coming on tonight, mate. Really appreciate it. It's always great to have a debate with you. So thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate that.
No, thank you. I always appreciate you having me on, Robbie.
And tell him your channel again.
Lee Gunner. Go and subscribe to that. Thank you, Robbie. I do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Listen, I know I've had enough people in that chat quoting me off as well, right? It's all a matter of opinion, isn't it? And I'll try and back it on as much as I can. So
exactly. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks very much. Lee's 100% right. It's all about opinions, and there's been some great opinions on tonight. Thank you guys very much for watching. We're going to be back in the morning with the morning show, the early edition. So make sure you check that out. And also don't forget to, for an alternate view, actually, go and check out the podcast, All Guns Blazing. You'll see DT with a completely opposite point of view. He was brilliant today as well. So make sure you check that out. We will be back in the morning. Have yourself a good evening.